Hi, thanks for stopping for a few moments to let me introduce our newest lifestyle program, the Benedictine CARE Wellness program, to you. My name is Terry Rose, and I'm a licensed nutritionist based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I am also a Benedictine Oblate with the Sisters of St. Benedict at St. Paul's Monastery in Maplewood, Minnesota. And before I get into specifically what Benedictine care is, I'd love you to bring you along and have you join the conversation about some of what we were observing and the questions we were asking about where are we currently with holistic health and what could we potentially think about differently and how could we present a new approach to members of our community to deepen and enhance the evolving definition of holistic health. So, really, what we started looking at is how is our current view of holistic health potentially falling short? I am so thrilled being in clinical practice for 15 years of helping individuals make preventative healthcare changes, so primarily in weight loss and lifestyle management. How do we make those changes and sustain them for long term? Having holistic health and body, mind, and spirit become more of the natural way to speak of health has been very, very encouraging. So, great strides are being made there. Um, but we're witnessing that we are still observing a recurring obstacle to individuals really sustaining transformative change. And when we look at transformative change, that's really thinking of how are they actually deepening or growing as an individual versus just reforming or substituting behaviors. So just replacing one pattern with another one and kind of saying, well, this is healthier than. So, what we were really, the question we're really looking at is more of what is that transformative change? What can we look at with individuals to actually start reducing the desire for excessive consumption or rather than just saying, eat this instead of that, really starting to look at what are some of the ways that the patterns developed and how can we help untangle that along with our partners in psychology. So those are the questions that we were looking at, and what is that opportunity that the Benedictine tradition could contribute to this? We know that sisters in the monastic tradition have been significant in healthcare offerings to the world. Here in Minnesota, Mayo Clinic is a really large example of that, as is the Avera healthcare systems in rural Minnesota and South Dakota. These are healthcare systems that were started by sisters, particularly Avera was started by Benedictine Sisters of Yankton, South Dakota, in partnership with the Presentation Sisters. So the monastic tradition has a long history of providing healthcare services and really innovative healthcare services to in totality and how can we most holistically heal those individuals or be a guide and companion in that healing. And so that's what we're really looking at for our initiative is how can we bring a Benedictine tradition into the preventative healthcare side. So really when we think of current holistic health, we often hear of body, mind, and spirit. We hear of this compartmentalized, here's the body, here's the mind, and here's the spirit, in a sense of each of them having their own to-do list. So how do we care for body? How do we care for mind? And how do we care for spirit? And what this is leading to is, these compartmentalized lists of all of these things that an individual should do to best care for each of these different elements. And when we look at that, spirit becomes another to-do list. So we have things like prayer and volunteer, go to their worship services, participate in community, deepen the connection with their self. However spirit is defined for that individual, it still can be reduced to a list that is equal to body, mind, and spirit as far as how do we care for those to then get the result that we want. So, what this looks like for an individual trying to apply this is that if I control this first, so if I can control all of these balls and all of these to do lists, if I can keep all of them going, then I will get the result that I want. So it's placing individuals in a paradigm of feeling that they need to control all of these variables and juggle them successfully each day, each week, each month, each year to get the result that they want. And this result could be those sustained weight loss and better health. Going deeper, it could be the better relationships, energy and vitality, creativity, and feeling connection to the divine or the love, the source of love or the beloved. So it's really this current health belief of first I must control this, then I will get this result that I want. When we look at holistic health, it's really just added another compartment with spirit into the existing body and mind. And so the individual is still left with this feeling of juggling and having to keep all of these things going to get the result that they want. Unfortunately, the reality for these individuals is that when I can't control this first, when I can't control all of these first, the balls drop. And again, I feel uncomfortable, restricted, like I failed. I'm exhausted, defeated, restless, and wondering why any of it is even worth it. And this is a hamster wheel that individuals can get in with making lifestyle changes. After the exhaustion, after the sense of failure, after the balls have dropped, we, with remarkable desire and will, begin to pick up the balls and start juggling again. We go try to find a different program or different advice, or we go on social media and try to find, well, maybe my ball was wrong. Maybe I'm using the wrong ball, and that if I did this with body first, then I would still get a different result. And that's how programs are marketed to individuals, that if you do this first, if you do this list, if you follow this, then you will get this result. But that is putting individuals into this situation of that is not going to be possible to always juggle all of those balls. And that mentality is reinforcing this. I must do something better before I can get and enjoy the quality of life that I want. And this is the very dynamic that we saw at the Benedictine Center, of feeling that Benedictine spirituality and the monastic tradition offers an enormous resource in helping reframe this. So, if instead of looking at it as body, mind, and spirit as these compartmentalized to-do lists with balls to juggle, wonderful that they're all getting consideration, but feeling really daunting for the individual, what if instead we look at it more as the spirit embracing the body and mind? So what if the spirit and nurturing that relationship actually becomes the source of strength and vitality, and remembering that source of connection that we already have becomes the very new way of it feeling like we're juggling, to feeling like, rather than self-care being an obligation that we have to do before we can experience life the way we want it, what if it becomes stewardship? What if we can actually find contentment and peacefulness in the stewardship of our body, which becomes our very tool to make our creative contribution to our relationships and to our community? So what if nurturing spirit in our relationship with the divine, as we define that, What if that becomes our first must do in health to allow for the permanent transformative changes within body and mind? And this is where the Benedictine tradition excels. So here's our thought of a new approach to contribute to the work that's already been done with holistic health. With the Benedictine CARE Wellness program, we are asking is if we listen to the divine in the ordinariness of life, if we prioritize that, how could that transform our existing patterns and behaviors? So we have developed a preventative health program that is rooted in the 1500-year-old tradition of Benedictine monasticism.